Thanks for watching today. Please share and subscribe. Means a lot. America, the fight for democracy is now, April 19, 2025. The United States is at a pivotal crossroads, one that calls for clarity, courage, and decisive action. We are nearing a moment when our democratic institutions, constitutional framework, and the rule of law could begin to unravel. The Trump administration has been relentlessly testing the boundaries of our democracy, probing for weaknesses and pushing limits with no sign of slowing down. This isn't a partisan attack. It's a warning. When a nation fails to defend its foundational values, it risks losing them entirely. And the greatest danger may not lie solely in those actively trying to dismantle the system, but in the silence and inaction of everyday citizens. The Trump administration has demonstrated a dangerous and growing disregard for the rule of law and constitutional norms. One glaring example is the case of Abrego Garcia, an immigrant the administration falsely portrayed as a violent MS-13 gang member in an attempt to justify defying a court order that required his return to the United States. In reality, Garcia had committed no crime and was legally present in the country. Trump claims to have won a Supreme Court case by a unanimous 9-0 decision, when in fact, he lost, also by a 9-0 vote. Even a right-leaning Supreme Court couldn't support the administration's narrative. The core issue is simple. There is no credible evidence that Garcia is affiliated with MS-13. If such evidence exists, present it. Give this man the due process guaranteed by law, and if he is proven to be who they claim, the majority of Americans would support appropriate legal action. But instead, the administration refuses to grant him that basic legal right. Even more alarming is the reported consideration of sending American citizens born and raised in the U.S. to SECUD, a notoriously brutal prison system in El Salvador. This isn't a hypothetical threat. Trump has allegedly asked El Salvador's president to build 5 more SECUD prisons, preparing to ship off individuals at will. Such actions represent an unprecedented assault on civil liberties and a chilling shift toward authoritarianism, far removed from the principles that define American democracy. The administration's contempt for the judiciary is now unmistakable. When the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that Abrego Garcia must be returned to the U.S., the administration didn't just ignore the decision. They twisted it, lied about it, and moved forward as if the ruling didn't exist. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a calculated effort to erode the system of checks and balances that protects our democracy. With Congress paralyzed, Republicans cowed by Trump's influence, and many Democrats reluctant to fully exercise their power, the courts have become the last meaningful line of defense against authoritarian overreach. But even that won't hold without the support of the people. We need a nationwide outcry. Now, it's deeply disappointing that out of the entire Democratic Party, only a handful are speaking out with urgency. Bernie Sanders, technically an independent and in his mid-80s, has become the most vocal defender of democracy. He and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have been crisscrossing the country, drawing crowds larger than most presidential rallies, even in deep red states and cities. Each event grows in size, in energy, in impact. But we need more. We need that kind of momentum multiplied. 3-fold, 5-fold, 10-fold. Imagine the power we'd wield if more leaders joined the fight, if more Americans were informed, energized, and engaged. Imagine how uncomfortable that would make the Trump administration. We have to wake up and help wake up those who've gone quiet, those who feel hopeless, and those who simply haven't been told the truth. The idea that American citizens could be deported and imprisoned abroad without trial is no longer unthinkable. Trump allies, such as Carolyn Leavitt and Pam Bondi, are reportedly exploring legal pathways to make this a reality. The justification? Targeting the most horrible people in this country, without due process. This is how authoritarian regimes gain ground, by desensitizing the public to outrages that should be unthinkable. If we accept that any citizen can be imprisoned without trial, we surrender our liberty piece by piece. Today it's someone else. Tomorrow, it could be you or your loved one. This national crisis is also a personal one. The real tipping point is inside each of us. Will you choose to remain silent, or will you stand against this authoritarian shift? Resistance may be difficult, It may cost you relationships, jobs, or comfort. But silence is complicity. History will judge us not only by what happened, but by what we chose to do about it. This administration, along with key allies, is operating more like a criminal syndicate than a democratic government. Individuals like Ed Martin, nominated for a U.S. attorney position, have ties to foreign propaganda networks and are seeking retribution against those who prosecuted the January 6th insurrection. Figures such as Tom Homan and Kristi Noem are described as Homeland Security elite in the Trump White House. But really, Tom is just a bully and a racist thug. Kristi is nothing more than a girl out doing cosplay. Combined, they are complicit in kidnapping and human trafficking through their roles in immigration enforcement. This is not politics as usual. It is the erosion of law under the guise of governance. Trump and Nayib Bukele, both telling so many lies, making up the story as they go, manifesting their bullshit into reality, both knowing how morally wrong what they are doing, but backtracking now would only be viewed as capitulation and weakness. Dictators cannot show weakness or admit fault. We're not even 90 days into this regime. Imagine what a year will look like if we do nothing but bow down. Trump's vision for America redefines citizenship itself. He seeks to convert citizens into subjects and public servants into loyalists. His goal isn't policy change. It's a systemic breakdown of institutions, norms, and the will of the people. Institutions like Harvard that have resisted this pressure provide a glimmer of hope. Their defiance shows what is possible when leaders refuse to normalize authoritarian behavior. Now, others must follow. We have faced crossroads like this before. The fight against slavery, the battle for civil rights, the suffrage movement, the resistance to fascism and totalitarianism. In every one of these moments, change began with ordinary people who refused to obey injustice. Today we face an attempt to return not just 100 years, but 250 years to a time before democracy, when power flowed from kings, not citizens. Authoritarian regimes eventually fall. History shows us that even the most entrenched systems, Argentina's junta, Nazi Germany, cannot escape accountability forever. Trump and his allies have shown us who they are. Now, it's time to remind the world who we are. We are the people of the United States of America, and we won't go down without a fight. This is the moment. The stakes are clear. We must decide whether to allow our democracy to be dismantled or to stand and fight for the values that define us. The time for hesitation is over. The tipping point is here, and it demands our response. So, what will it be?